Hey, welcome to Texas Football Talk. I'm your host, Jeremy Lockley. Once again, joined by my brother Clint this episode, talking 21 breakout players. How you doing, brother?
Hey, pretty good, man. It's nice to really get back into talking about what's happening or what could happen on the field versus the recruiting landscape. I know we've been talking about that for a couple of weeks, really a couple of months, I guess. And so it's really nice to get back and talk about the football team. I know we're going to talk about some of the really breakout, who we see as breakout players in the 2021 season. And I can tell you from where I'm looking at is my offensive guy. I think it's because of underutilization. And I think my defensive guy is going to do well because of the different defensive scheme plus a position change. So we'll go ahead and start with the offense first. My offensive guy is going to be Jared Wiley. Like I said, I think he was underutilized. If you go back and look at what Iowa State was able to do to Oklahoma in their couple of games that they played, you're looking at 225 yards on 15 receptions at about 15 yards per catch. And I think that's kind of where we need to be at. And if you go back and look at Jared Wiley and what he's done when he's able to catch the ball, you're looking at in 2020, he had 9 receptions for about 166 yards and a touchdown, one of those being a 52-yard reception, averaging about 18.4 yards per catch. So when he has an opportunity to go downfield or catch the ball, it's usually for a big gain. I think what we'll see from Texas this year is something similar to probably what Iowa State's going to be able to do. And that's really have a really, really good run game, probably use a lot of 12 personnel sets and utilize our tight ends more than what you've seen in previous years. Think with Jared Wiley, you're talking about a monstrous catch radius, post-up game near the red zone. I think he becomes a matchup nightmare. But I think the biggest thing for Jared Wiley is really his athleticism. He got recruited there out of Temple as a quarterback, and I think with that athleticism, I think you're going to see a vertical game, and I think you've seen that numerous times from him where he's able to stretch the field down the seam against linebackers, against tight ends, or against safeties, really just taking advantage of that matchup. And then I think it's quite possible to see him really triple his output from the previous season. So I think somewhere you're probably going to see him around 300, probably 30 receptions. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets up there probably close to 350 to 400 total yards, and maybe somewhere around the 5 to 8 touchdown range for Jared Wiley going into the 2021 season. Your thoughts on Jared Wiley?
No, I totally agree. I wrote 6'7", 255-pound matchup nightmare. I wrote converted quarterback from Temple. Again, he's young at that position. So again, like you talked about last year with him and Malcolm Epps and the diminutive defensive backs that Oklahoma presented us, we had to take advantage of that. I think Steve Sarkisian will see that like you said, he has the ability to go up, catch balls above people, but at the same time find himself wide open down the seams, as he did a couple times last year in bust big plays. But yeah, excited to see him play this year. Definitely agree with your analysis of Jared Wiley.
Your offensive guy, man. Who do you have on offense?
So yeah, moving on to my offensive guy, I've got Troy Omeire, freshman X receiver. Again, you talk about another nightmare matchup for defensive back. 6'3", 230 pounds out of Fort Bend, Austin. 91 grade, 4-star coming out of high school, coming off a torn ACL. Again, we got a chance to see him perform in the spring game. He was in a black jersey, non-contact. So I think the coaching staff sees him as a weapon. They want him to fully recover because they know that, like 21s before him, such as Calvin Johnson, Megatron, who I think he designs his game after, and his size definitely reminds you of Megatron in his days at Detroit and Georgia Tech. But again, just watching him in the spring game, he has the ability to get open. He caught a couple of balls. I think he's going to fit really, really well with Casey and or Hudson, whoever the quarterback is. And I just think it gives you another skill set that the receiving corps doesn't have. When you're talking about Whittington, Moore, and the guys across the other positions, the H's and the Z receivers, not a whole lot of height. And again, he's carrying around 230 pounds. So we saw it in the summer preparation for his freshman year last year. He was beating corners like Jalen Green, Anthony Cook, Deshaun Jameson on big plays. So expect to see a lot out of Troy here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Troy, with our offense is we haven't had a number one wide receiver in a long time, and I think he's going to be able to do that. And I think based on where we're at as far as Bijan Robinson being able to probably the go-to guy on the running back, and how many really guys the defenses are going to have to put in the box is going to allow him to have that one-on-one coverage and create those mismatches, But I think it's all based around really running the ball first, creating those mismatches, not just with those wide receivers, but also those tight ends. So I think they kind of all kind of mirror in together when you're talking about these. And again, he's a wow guy, man. He's a wow guy. He's been able to really, wow everyone since his freshman year. Unfortunately, because of injury, he wasn't able to play in the 2020 season. But I definitely agree with Troy Omeire. And I think there was a lot of guys we looked at on the offensive side of the ball that we could have said, hey, you know what? These guys are going to be breakout players. To me, you have a couple of freshmen that are going to come in on the offensive side of the ball. Xavier Worthy being one. I think Steve Sarkisian likes those speed wide receiver guys, those guys that are really, really fast, can get open, beat one-on-one coverage. But then you also have a guy like Ja'Tavion Sanders who they're going to use on both sides of the ball at tight end. So I think we probably could have named quite a few breakout guys on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm definitely really, really excited about seeing Jared Wiley. And go ahead, Jeremy, your thought?
No. So you were talking about Sanders. You talked about Wiley. You talked about Worthy. I'm in the trenches, man. So my honorable mentions, the guys I would have thought to bring up next would have been Jake Majors and Christian Jones. And again, a guy who really impressed last year in summer camp and we thought we were going to see a lot of last year was Isaiah Hilkfield. So hopefully a lot of these young offensive linemen develop this year and they break out as well. But yeah, they were definitely on my honorable mention.
Yeah, you're talking about the guys in the trenches, man. I've been kind of diving deep into this Phil Steele magazine for the last couple of days, and believe it or not, he has our offensive line upwards around the 19th, I think 19th in the nation when he's looking at offensive line, which kind of surprised me. I didn't think we were going to be that top 20. I knew we had a good, some experience coming back, obviously with Kerstetter. I think Jake Majors there at center. Obviously, Engelau, it just played that right guard position over the last couple of years. But really goes, I think, like you're talking about Christian Jones. But yeah, he had us currently in his magazine, I think, the 19th best offensive line in the country. I guess moving over to the defensive side of the ball, man, I'm really, really excited. Obviously, we have some guys that we've, are obviously going to miss and probably on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going more Ojomo, man. He's going to be probably my defensive breakout guy. When you go back and look at it, Joseph Tsai had 16 tackles for loss. Taquan Graham had 17 tackles for loss. I think he's going to move in and probably take that Taquan Graham spot. Again, I think the scheme change, the position change for him. He's going to go from really defensive end to defensive tackle under Pete Kwiatkowski. And I think he's going to do really, really good things, man. If you actually go back and look at the spring game, you're talking about a guy that had 7 tackles and 3 sacks in the spring game. Doesn't say a lot, but again, he was playing with the 2s, going against the 1s. Kind of scares you from the offensive line position, but from the defensive spot, I think we're really, really good. You're talking about at that defensive tackle position, a 1-2 punch of Ojomo and Alfred Collins. That's a nightmare for any team, But I think they're two different guys. Alfred Collins more lengthy, bigger guy. When you're looking at measurables, you're looking at more Ojomo. He sits around 6'3", 281 pounds. Probably a little smaller than what they're going to get in Alfred Collins. So it's really a thunder and lightning package there. I think, when you're looking at strong, quick twitch guy, I'm just really, really excited about Moro Ojomo this year. I had the same thing about Marcus Bimmage last year, and unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to see Marcus Bimmage play. But I think they're somewhat similar to each other. I think this strong, quick twitch guys is going to be a nightmare from that defensive tackle position. But really, really excited about Moro Ojomo.
Yeah, especially lining him up with the likes of Keandre Coburn and Devondre Sweat. Like those big guys are going to take up double teams. And like you say, if a quick twitch guy like Moro Ojomo could beat a one-on-one block in the backfield, then that's going to create danger for the opposing offenses. I really like your pick. Smart kid out of Katy. I think it's going into his junior year at this point. So, got some experience. Yeah,
so the Washington Huskies, going back to really 2019, I didn't count the 2020 season, but 2019 had 29 sacks, which is 12 more than what Texas had. I didn't realize we only had 17 sacks. Obviously, it was a shortened season last year, but 17 sacks. And if you look at it from 2014, we had about 40 sacks in 2014, and then you go back and look at about 2018, that 2018 season. We had 32 sacks, and then it's just steadily decreased from all the way until 2020 when we had 17 sacks, which is definitely not good. We got to get to the quarterback, especially in the Big 12. We got to get to the quarterback and have them make these quick decisions to get the ball out, to allow your defensive backs to be able to make plays on the ball. And I think, this defensive line, but I think the unsung hero after the 2020 season is going to be more Ojomo from that defensive tackle position.
I dig it. Yeah, need to get more pressure on the quarterbacks. Need to get them behind the chains, chasing second and long, third and long. What down distance dictates is long throws by the quarterback that we feel like we have a pretty decent secondary to be able to defend. So let's get them behind the chains on first, second down, like you're saying, with that pass rush or that run defense. So I'm going to go to my defensive player. It's going to be Brendan Schooler, 6'2", 201-pound senior transfer safety. Last year, you understand that he transferred in the program. He's a 81 grade coming out of high school, 3-star, who started his collegiate career at Oregon, where he was an all-conference freshman player there. He actually had started 10 games as a freshman, ranked number 5 in the Pac-12 as far as interceptions, and then was 4th in the FBS as far as total interceptions by a freshman with 4. So first team all Pac-12 special teams. So not only are you getting him as a senior leader back there, kind of controlling the defense from that strong and our free safety position, but then he has the ability to play all your special teams and make plays. Again, he was all conference special teams twice in the Pac-12 in 17 and 18. That his brother Colin is a linebacker at Texas Tech University, very good player. And he's just a team guy. I was reading an article that Quan Cosby had mentioned a comment about how he went to the coaching staff last year after playing receiver, and we go back and look at our past shows. We really felt like when he transferred in, his biggest impact maybe on the defense at the time. It would be safety and or linebacker. They put a little bit of weight on him. But yeah, so you're going to get him. Total team guy, went to the coaches, says, hey, put me where you can most utilize me, and safety's where he was. Saw him make plays in the spring game as a safety. So again, you got to have a senior guy back there, leader, who can control all the defenses in front of him and make sure people line up in the right spots. And again, he can help me in all facets of the game. So my breakout player for this year on defense is Brendan Schooler.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for that safety position currently is what's going to happen with the 2 deep moving at, as far as the ball goes. And Brendan Schooler's a hustle guy, man. If you go back and look at the spring practice when I think Bijan broke one off to the sidelines, man, and all of a sudden he missed him in the gap, but he was able to turn around and he chased Bijan down on the sideline and hit him out of bounds. I'm pretty sure the coaches didn't appreciate that, but it's the same guy. He's a hustle guy, man. And like you said, he's a team player that's willing to go out there and do what his team needs him to do. I think where I kind of look at it is what's going to happen at two deep at that safety position. JD Coffey is one, and then obviously BJ Foster would be another one who kind of really solidifies that position at safety moving into the football season. But go ahead, Jeremy. I think you had a thought.
Yeah, and I may have, and I talked to you about this when I sent you the notes, is I may have picked a guy who may not start. So I'm looking for him to make impact when he comes in the game on special teams. But yeah, you're talking about Foster, you're talking about Thompson, you're talking about Coffey, you're talking about there's guys back there who have experience playing the position or high 4-star players, 5-star players he still may not start. But I think he's a difference maker. How many ever snaps he gets on defense, how many ever snaps he gets on special teams, I think he's going to make a difference for the football team. And going back to my honorable mentions for the defense, it was T'Vondre Sweat, again, playing that nose tackle position, 330, 340 pounds.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go probably one of these guys that are transferring. I'm going to go Ray Thornton. I'm also going to throw Ben Davis in there. I think, and the reason is because this is a one and done for them. They have to go out there and kind of prove themselves to obviously improve their draft grade. Ben Davis comes in as a 5-star at Alabama. Didn't play there very much, but transfers to Texas. But I think they're one and done guys, and I think they just kind of go out there and prove themselves. And I think, but going back to really Brendan Schooler, I think Ojomo kind of falls in that same thing. At the end of at the end of the fall, Alfred Collins is probably going to be that number one guy at that defensive tackle position. But I think it's not so many that. Not that you're number one on the depth chart, but what happens when you come in and into the game? What impact are you going to make? And I think that's just as important. And who knows, man? PK may have 3 down guys and 8 guys that are standing up, and he's got defensive backs all over the field. So we'll kind of see what happens with this defense. I think it's really we'll see from game to game, how it changes. But I'm really definitely excited about each one of these breakout players, man. There could have been, a dozen more that we named that we could have had up here, but really excited about these 4 guys going into the 2021 season, man. Any last thoughts?
No, I'm excited. Like you said, within 60 days of the football season starting, these are a couple of our breakout players. Please put in the comment section who you think is going to be a breakout player on offense and defense. Clint threw a tweet out there the other day asking you who you would select as your guys. So let us know in the comment boxes.
Absolutely. We appreciate you listening as always. You can find us on Twitter at TX Football Talk, on Facebook at Texas Football Talk, and on Instagram at Texas Football Talk. We appreciate you listening as always. Hey, please hit that like button if you like the content. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, welcome.
Welcome.